All right, we're back. Okay. Yeah, YouTube decided to say no, so I changed its mind. Um, it told me no. I'm used to that.
Good online vibes, sending them out into the world.
So I guess we'll do. I guess the name game here. Well, hi, I'm Rob.
Hi, I'm Allie, Violet Vixen Commissaro.
And hello, I'm Bo Brent.
So we just get into it, Rob?
Let's just get into it.
Get into it.
Okay, we need to know everything about this fest.
All right. So, a little background. I'm in the band Ferret from New York City. We're pretty heavy glam band, like invading like Rat and like Wasp, LA Guns, like along those lines. The heavy end of the spectrum. We've been around for a little while. We have a few albums out, and we had some setbacks during the pandemic and people leaving the band, coming back to the band, this and that. We're back. Momentum has been pretty good. And, post pandemic, we kind of noticed there's been quite a few bands popping up over the last number of years, young bands in their 20s, mid 20s, early 20s. Hell, some of the people are in their late teens.
Getting younger.
Playing, really good 80s style heavy metal, whether it be glam metal or thrash or, traditional 80s metal. And, when we first started in Ferret many years ago, and we were kind of like getting our feet wet playing shows like 2015, 16, 17, there was barely any bands to play with that we fit with. We would play with like death metal bands sometimes, black metal bands sometimes, terrible modern rock bands that not, maybe just not my thing. Just to play gigs, right? Because it really wasn't, unless you were gonna like, sell tickets to open for like Warwick or something, you weren't gonna get a gig with bands that made sense. Outside of a couple of our peers. Post pandemic, though, I noticed this trend. A lot of these sick bands are popping up. This band Wanted from Detroit has a lot of hype right now. They're sick. They just came out with a new record that's awesome. They're working on another one. This band Breaker from Philadelphia, they're pretty new. They've only been around for a couple of years. Great EP. They got signed. They have a very charismatic, awesome front woman. And there's a bunch of others, some from upstate New York, Tykin and Ready to Strike. So, we were playing shows, and I actually started dabbling in booking shows. I'm not a booker, right? I'm in a band. I have a day job. I am not a professional promoter. I want to emphasize that. And I started booking some shows with these bands. We booked this band Fire and Ice from New Jersey, and like I said, Breaker from Philly, Wanted from Detroit, and the shows are going pretty well. A lot of people are coming out, older people, younger people, people in the middle. The bands are good. There was no like whatever, we need to have some band just to flush it out, and they kind of suck, but they're nice guys. There was none of that. I was like, wow, this is actually going pretty good. And then my friend Mark, who he plays in the band Electrocutioner, which is a thrash metal band from New York. He kind of got the idea in my head. Instead of booking a bunch of shows, why don't you kind of like book a festival, like this guy Ed Varsity does? A friend of mine who books the Rage Armageddon Festival every year in Brooklyn around Labor Day, usually like late August, early September. And he kind of specializes in like obscure thrash and like 80s metal and that type of thing. And I was like, yo, that's a good idea. So I kind of started out as like a Ferret super show, like Ferret and Friends. And then it kind of morphed into a much bigger thing than I was anticipating. I was not expecting, my original idea was not to have like acts that were actually around in the 80s. I was not expecting to have like Heaven's Edge or Ted Poley on the bill or Rough House. It kind of like just one thing led to another. And, we booked the Meadows in Brooklyn. And I was like, all right, well, as great as all these newer bands are, let's get a couple of bands to bring out some older fans that wouldn't come out for bands that they don't recognize. And I didn't want to just book like bands that tour every year. Like LA Guns, I love Fast and Pussycat, I love Enough's Enough. But those bands, they play New York City basically every year. I was like, who could I get that's not like being too ambitious, that would be willing to play, and I don't have to worry about, because again, I might have, my first time doing anything even close to this magnitude Well, I didn't want to worry about like flights and hotels and not so much I didn't want to pay for them. A lot of times that's on the promoter to organize and to like
Hey, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot doing a fest.
right. So I was like, all right, let me. And I thought about Heaven's Edge, who I saw at the M3 Rock Festival multiple times, and they always kicked ass, and they responded instantly. Dave Rath, the drummer, he actually lives in New York now, and he said, "Hey, we've actually been looking to play a show in New York City for a long time, and I think this would actually make a lot of sense." They were on board right away, and then Ted Poley, like I know that Ted Poley does play in the Jersey suburbs about once a year or so, but he hasn't played with Danger Danger or solo in the actual city in a long time. I thought that would be a great get. He's a great guy. He's always involved with like animal charities and stuff like that. I've kind of built a little bit of a rapport with him over the years, attending his shows. So once I reached out to his booking agent, that was another easy one that fell into place. And again, it kind of just snowballed. I had no idea people would think about traveling or booking a hotel or like fly. There's some people I know that are flying in from other cities, and it's like crazy to me. I had no expectation for it to turn into that. So, one thing led to another, and a billion bands started emailing me. Hey, can I get on? Well, no, it's only first year, only one day. It's already full. I'm already like really full. Like I got to make sure I run the stages very professionally, so there's no issues. Um, but the feedback's been amazing, and now it's about the execution. Like I said, I never really executed a show of this magnitude before, but luckily I have a lot of people that are helping me. I know the owners of the venue. We got a lot of professionals involved. So knock on wood, it's been a lot of work, but it's exciting. And it's a good type of anxious, not the bad. So here we are. It seems like it was like 8-9 months ago. It's so far in the future, whatever. It's 10 days away. In fact, as soon as I get off this call, I got to follow up with the t-shirts. They should be here soon.
I was just about to say the countdown begins.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy how fast time goes, right?
Are you going to have a lot of vendors?
So there's a couple of vendors that are going to be there. Not a ton, because there's a lot of bands that are bringing their merch. We have 12 bands in total. Some of the bands have only a couple of, maybe like one shirt and like a CD, but a few of them have quite a few. So all the bands will have their merch, and then we have rock and metal collectibles, which is a vendor that I've known for many years that vends a lot of the biggest shows here in New York City. I met them through the Meadows and the sister venue, the Monarch, which is the bigger version of the same ownership group next door. And they have a lot of great stuff. They're going to specialize in more 80s metal for this fest, but I've always seen them at more extreme shows, and then a few other vendors, but nothing. Again, we're trying to start. What's the word I'm looking for? We're trying to start humbly here. I'm hoping this one goes well, and if this one goes well, maybe we can expand a little bit next year. Maybe get 1 or 2 fly-ins. Maybe I will get the urge to get more ambitious in that regard, because I definitely have a few in mind. But let's worry about this one first. If this one goes well, maybe we'll expand a little more in 2027, with the goal being to move next door to the Monarch, which is the big event. So, but let's worry about this one first.
What's been the craziest thing that's happened so far? Like, other than booking the bands and actually getting them on?
Just talking to some of them on the phone, like real casually, like I'm their peer, versus like, again, a lot of the bands, I'm kind of like in the middle. I mean, a lot of Ferret is in that their early 40s or late 30s. So I'm kind of in the middle. A lot of the bands that we're playing, especially the outside stage, a lot of them are very young, mid 20s. Like I said, some of them are not even can't even drink yet. They had to sneak the beers at the fest. But but like talking to like Ted Poley and like the Dave Rath from Heaven's Hedge, and just really casually on the phone, like Rex Eisen from Rough House. It's like, wow, this is like weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, cool. And then they're not playing, but I originally, before I kind of like got chickened out with like the fly-ins and those logistics, I did speak to Lorraine Lewis from Femme Fatale on the phone, and that was crazy because not only do I love her music, but you know, always found her very attractive growing up. So that was kind of wow, this is crazy. I'm speaking to Lorraine Lewis on the phone, so that didn't work out for this year, but maybe next year if this one goes well, like I said, I'll get a fly-in or two. So
Was she a poster on your wall?
I wouldn't say she was a poster on my wall because I think I discovered a little poster life, but definitely watched the videos in a different light than say watching other band music videos over the years. I think many people have. So, but again, everyone's been really nice and like these some of these are huge rock stars, and it's like they're like all like just talking on the phone and very kind. I think it's so easy in terms of like them and managing them. Everyone's using the same back line. It seems there's a lot of camaraderie, making sure this goes smooth. So
now, what are you doing as far as coverage for the show?
what do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Like media coverage or like who?
I've been doing the works in terms of like the interview circuit and the radios. Dave's really helped out a lot. A publicist, and then Munzie is our radio guy. He's helped out as well. Because again, I know a lot of these guys from my band Ferret. We released an album 2 years ago now, which seems like it was like 2 days ago, but time goes by very fast. So. A lot of the connections I made during that album cycle, I've kind of leveraged to promote this. And then, we got brand, new music, new bands, which is Paul Lydell from Dangerous Toys. He's sending a crew out there to cover the festival and do a bunch of interviews and whatnot with all the bands. And then we got this magazine, Electric Flare magazine. They're sending people. And everything Glam Metal and Big Talk Nation, which are kind of like, for lack of a better, I don't want to use the word influencers because they're not an influencer, but like they're, they don't have like, they're not like physical magazines, but they're like online, like, they're always pumping out, helping the bands and promoting.
Now, will this be able for people that live on the other side of the country or might not be able to get out? Like, will this be live streamed anywhere, or
I don't know if there's demand for that right now. It will definitely be taped in some capacity. It's funny. I never thought of the live stream element until like yesterday when someone mentioned it. It was actually my girlfriend that mentioned it. It wasn't even someone. Wasn't even one of the someone from the.
You're gonna have to get ready for TikTok and everything.
Yeah.
Because those young bands, they're all over TikTok.
Right. So I don't think they got it with their own audience, but you're probably right. I probably should have thought about live streaming it. Again, I just never thought, when I put this together, the original intention was like a Ferret Super Show. I never in my wildest dreams thought it was going to blow up into people flying in and getting hotels and me talking to Lorraine Lewis and Dave Rath on the phone. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it's not what I expected. So, but it's been great.
Well, you still have time to do it, actually.
I do. I'm wondering how much of a demand there is. You're probably right. There probably is a somewhat of a demand for a live stream. I'm just not sure how it would look like, but something I can look into for sure.
Probably since it's like a first one and like you never know what's gonna happen. I would probably try to go out on Facebook and just do a Facebook live
or an IG live.
Yeah. Like not the entire thing, but like clips here and there.
Exactly. I wouldn't bring it to TikTok or YouTube live. Not for the first one ever. No.
Yeah, no. That's kind of what I was getting at, I guess. I kind of want to like be humble with this first one and see how it goes. Because the other thing is this: like obviously a couple of clips, live stream a song or two on the Instagram or the Facebook. But considering I'm also the lead organizer, I'm sure my phones will be blowing up all day from all different people. Yeah. So there's only so much I could attend to in that regard, I suppose. but I'll do my best. I'll do what I can. Each band will get up there at least once or twice.
It's kind of cool though, because this probably brought out a bunch of people that, like, in the future, you might be able to go out on tour with and make those connections. So
That was the original intention, to be honest. Specifically with the younger bands. And I don't think we would ever go on like a full like 6-week tour or anything like that. We're kind of like weekend warriors at this point. But I absolutely need to start playing in cities outside of the New York State tri-state, the New York City tri-state area. I feel like we played a lot in the city itself, obviously, and in New Jersey and on Long Island. But I really want, my main intention in doing this to begin with was basically to trade shows with some of these bands. So, in other words, okay, like Tykin's coming down from Rochester to play the festival. Please bring us up to Rochester in return. We have Breaker from Philadelphia. Please, in return, when you can, book us down in Philadelphia with bands that make sense. Along with you guys. Rattlebones from Pittsburgh. That was my basic intention when putting this together.
that's cool.
It was all selfish. It was for Ferret to expand. Like I said, it kind of snowballed after that.
And when did Ferret start? Like, when did you guys first come together?
So it's kind of a little convoluted. It actually started originally in 2011 in very early days.
Okay.
There's like a first, I don't want to say a secret album, but there's like an album that like we don't push because it's very,
It's a deep cut.
It was 4 guys doing drugs in the basement and playing music. You know what I mean? Like no one thought it wasn't an intention for it to turn into. If I would have known back then that it would turn into this, I probably would have called the band Weasel instead of Ferret. But I did have a ferret, and he was kind of a mascot. It was actually 2 ferrets. It was the original ferret, Sammy the Ferret, and then there was Sid the Ferret. And Sammy the Ferret was named after Sammy Kerr from the movie Trick or Treat, which is so adolescent, early 20s mind, because we didn't have a drummer. We were just playing around in a basement. We're like, oh, Sammy the Ferret's the drummer. Let's call it Ferret. That's literally how it started. That's literally how it became called Ferret, the band.
I kind of sort of love it.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a do-over, I'd probably would call it Weasel because it's a little sleazier sounding, but it's the same basic intention, and the ferret could still be the mascot in that case. But again, I'm not going to go back 3-4 records and rewrite history at this point. So it is what it is. But then we started playing live in like 2014, and it was as you'd expect. People didn't know what they were doing. We looked like we were dressing up as rock stars for Halloween instead of actually looking like rock stars. Looked like we went shopping at Party City, and I look back at that time period, and it's a little cringy the way we looked, but it's a learning experience. And as it goes, as time goes by, you get better. The lineups change, usually for the better, hopefully. We got some key additions to the band over the years. TT Benoit on guitar, and Hollywood Hopeful on drums. And I think we're a much better band now than we were like 10 years ago. And I think things kind of took a turn to more serious in like 2017, 2018, around that time. We started playing bigger shows. We played with Grim Reaper, we played with Striper, Great White, Brittany Fox, Enough's Enough. I was like, all right, things are starting to become like real, but it was still like, we're opening.
I just saw Great White last year. They were actually phenomenal.
Hell yeah. This was actually Jack Russell, Great White, that we played with. Rest in peace. That was one of the bands that splintered. We played with them out in Amityville, Long Island, actually, right by the Amityville Horror House.
Oh, okay.
So,
that was probably a really cool show.
It was. And that venue was awesome. Unfortunately, it didn't survive the pandemic. It sucks. That was a really cool. I like that place. They treated us well there. We were just one of the opening bands. We had like a full catering. And they like, oh, we wanted you to come back for this band, for that band. And then, unfortunately, it didn't happen. That's the dark side of the industry, unfortunately. It's always the great venues and the great, shows and whatnot that for whatever reason don't work out. But yeah, things took a. We had a lot of momentum right before the pandemic, and the pandemic kind of like really screwed us up for a while. And I mean, then we were on like a little hiatus. TT Benoit and Hollywood Hopeful actually left the band for a little while. during the pandemic. Not for anything dramatic. No good stories. Life reasons. Hollywood had a second child. T.T. was busy with work, and then they're back now, and things are good. So I wish we were slightly younger, a little more towards the age of these up and coming bands. But you know what? It's better late than never. So I'd rather have these bands be around now than not around at all.
But you can be the wise one to take them under your wing.
Exactly. Yeah, one
kind
of them
of
called me
like,
the Glam father recently. I don't know how I felt
oh,
about
I
that.
love it.
I know. Yeah. It was meant in a Godfather reference, like the movie, not in like a grandfather way. But it still was like, Jesus Christ. I could be like maybe not your dad, but I'm like your older sleazy uncle that's like gonna give you your first beer behind the shed. I was like, geez, like how is this?
Now you were saying you want to play other areas other than, in New York. Where are you trying to play?
I don't have delusions of grandeur. I would like to start with the immediate area, like Philly, Boston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then when I say these cities, I mean like the suburbs of the respective cities as well. Um, I'm gonna be targeting a lot of the bands that are playing at the Glam Fest to try to go up to Rochester, try to go up to Syracuse, um, Pittsburgh, Philly. The Midnight Devils were a great band there in Omaha, Nebraska. That might be a little ambitious for a one-off, but I would like to get out there at some point because, believe it or not, Omaha is a kind of a cool city. For my day job, I had a client out there. I used to enjoy going out there. Great steakhouses, got some sleazy casinos and strip clubs. You wouldn't think it like Omaha, but it's got some stuff. It's good.
Now, what city do you feel has the most hype crowd or fans when it comes to glam metal?
It's a hard question. Because I've never seen a glam metal show in LA. I would think it would be like, the LA rainbow scene and the whiskey and whatnot. But I don't know.
Okay.
It might be very commercialized at this point. I'm really not sure. I've never actually seen a show out there. The last time I was in LA for a vacation, there was a cover band at the whiskey, so it wasn't really something I could make an assessment of. But I mean, the times that I have the best in the glam metal, or we'll even say glam metal adjacent genres. So let's do in like AOR and like like the REO Speedwagons and Jefferson Starships of the world. Outside of the M3, I really like going to the again, these are bigger arenas, so it's hard to fully assess.
Okay.
But like, I really have a good every time I go to the PNC Center in New Jersey, in Homondale, New Jersey. I always have a great time there for some reason. The crowd is it's my type of people.
I'm actually going to be there next Sunday.
What day?
I'm actually going to be there next Sunday.
I'm going to be there Monday. Wow, I'm missing you by a day.
Oh, so you're going to go see Sammy?
I'm going to see Sammy, baby. Yup.
Yeah, I'm going. I unfortunately have to work, but I'm going to see Godsmack. I think.
Nice. No, I didn't go to Sammy and Hagar the last time I went, and I really, really regret it. So come hell or high water, I'm going on Monday. It's also the last big adjacent show before the festival, so I'm obviously going to be flying the hell out of that. That show, that big stack, bringing it in there. Hopefully, they don't flag me down with them.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, especially with the older crowd, the actual flyering, the physical flyering is still very, very important. I give flyers out to people that I've, as recent as a couple of weeks ago, that I had no idea this festival was happening, even though it's been all over the place on the internet. So you got to do both, like especially when you're, for the older side of the fan base, the physical flyering. Like I went to Triumph and April Wine 2 weeks ago, like a week and a half ago. Gave a lot of flyers out there, so I'm looking forward to doing that at the Sammy Hagar show. One last push.
Sounds good.
I would just be careful. I mean, I would be in the parking lot. Yes.
Oh yeah, when I leave, of course.
No, not even when you leave. Before you go.
When we tailgating, absolutely.
When you tailgate, what do you call it? Because it's kind of tricky there because, like, sometimes the troopers are cool, sometimes they're not. So like
Yeah.
it
When I saw Priest and Alice Cooper there last year, it was pretty easy to do it. So I'm hoping I can just do it the same, just load up the pockets. But we'll see.
just load up the pockets, walk around, have a beer with them, talk to them.
Exactly. He's got those cargo shorts going.
Because I mean, I didn't know if you knew, but I'm from New Jersey, so I'm literally there all the time. I mean, not at least last summer I really wasn't because there wasn't anything there to really go see. But I'm a regular.
Yeah, I went to Styx and REO Speedwagon there last summer, and I went to Judas Priest and Alice Cooper. I think those are the only two I went to. But I had a great time at both.
The only thing that really changed about that venue is that it's no cash; it's only card.
A lot of them switched over to that.
Yeah, all these big arenas are like that.
And it's ran by Live Nation,
Of course.
So once I'm not even going to get into that. But
no, I think we have the same views without even getting into it. I can tell.
What, that it's like 200 plus some for a general admission ticket to most shows now?
Well, no,
like I'll throw it out there. It's ridiculous.
Well, not even that. They have for the media, the hub, or you want to call it, yeah, I'm just going to call it the hub, that you submit all your paperwork and everything to. You'll get an email. You're supposed to get an email back 24 hours to 72 hours prior from the show. If you got
Is this for media?
It's for media.
Okay.
So I tried to go online 3 times today to submit for Sunday, and there's an error message every time.
Lovely.
So, or sometimes they actually message you back after the event is over.
My favorite
Dude,
thing about
it's like
Live
calling the
Nation-
radio stations back in the day, Rob. Like, how many times did you try? You tried 3 times. I can already tell.
No, I've tried more than 3, but
how many? How many? 4?
4.5.
You got to be on that shit every hour.
No, like I've submitted. Not for this show, not for Godsmack. I tried to. Then it was like a 404 error message. But I tried for Alanis.
Find that tour manager. You go from that to finding the tour managers.
I mean, I found the tour managers. They just don't respond either. But that's a totally different story.
I used to do a radio show years ago when I was in college, so I feel the pain. There was times I had amazing interviews lined up, and the tour manager just disappeared off the face of the earth, and it never happened. Not what you want. Like real big ones, especially when I'm like a 19-year-old kid, like Dave Mustaine, Tom G. Warrior.
Oh my God. Every time someone says Dane McStay, oh my God. Every time that name is said, I don't know if anybody else follows Ronnie Radke, but like, holy shit, he did this video, and I swear I've watched it so many times, where this fan was like saying something and he calls her that, and it like every time I hear the name, I just start laughing. So random, but I just had to put it out there.
No, like industry stuff and whatever the case may be, like you find the right person, but they never respond either. So like, or they do, it's after after the event has already happened.
No. See, I
hit them up on everything.
I'm kind of prepared for that with the Glam Fest. That's why I said it's gonna be hard to live stream it so much. I'm prepared for like 8,000 people to be messaging me all day, bringing 2 cell phone chargers with me, and then when I play, they're gonna have to just deal with it because obviously I can't be responding when I'm on stage. So
since you won't be going to Party City, like, do you have your outfits like ready to go?
Oh yeah, we know how to dress now. We look like, we don't look like we're cosplaying anymore. We look like we're actually like, musicians. So
no cosplaying, damn it.
It's just that it used to look, if you go back, if you went to the Ferret social media and you went to like 2015 and you saw what we looked like, you'd be like, oh my God, these guys look like idiots. They look like they're dressed as, David Lee Roth for Halloween. Now
I
it
almost
actually looks
talked
like
Rob into dressing like an idiot tonight. He was gonna look for a wig, and I was gonna make him like do it up like hair metal.
I had one somewhere, but I can't find it.
that's a
He's
great thing
like,
you
I
just said,
was
actually.
Britney Spears one year for Halloween.
I was.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Like some of us used to wear wigs. We kind of realized, especially now that we're in our late 30s, early 40s, it's like, all right, if we dress that feminine and that ridiculous looking, like it's not even cute no more, it's just weird. So let's just not do that. Just look like badasses. That's again, I still wear the tight pants and the snakeskin boots and over the top jewelry and stuff like that. But no one's wearing wigs and eyeliner and stuff like that anymore. We're too old for that.
I have to ask.
You're never
like,
too old for eyeliner, though.
What's that?
I said you're never too old for eyeliner.
Yeah.
Just trust me, Lou.
You're never too old.
No one in the band, no one in this particular band is feminine enough to pull it off. It would just look weird. It would look like, how like in Twisted Sister, like the bass player would like when they came back, he refused to dress like that because he just looked too butch and masculine. It's like weird at that point. Like it's not, I don't know. If we were a little more pretty boy, we could pull it off. But I think we kind of came to the conclusion that we'll leave that to some of the other bands in the bill. We'll look a little more, like sleazy rock and roll type guys instead.
I have to ask because I've been just waiting for the right person to ask, and you definitely seem like it. Okay, like I know when I wear leather pants, especially to a club or something, like I learned really early on, like not a good idea because they get super hot. Like, since your show is in the heat, I guess first I want to ask, have you ever played a show where you were wearing pants and it got so super hot? And like, can you tell us about that? And how do you plan on kind of like avoiding that aspect of it, knowing what you know now?
So I don't have to worry about it for this show. Because there's two stages at this show. There's an indoor stage, which is the main stage. And the second stage is out back. That one is outside.
Oh, so you're indoor.
Yeah,
okay.
So we're on the indoor stage. I gave the option to my bandmates. We could either be really early on the indoor stage, or we could be later in the day on the outdoor stage. And I deferred to them. And they chose to be earlier in the day because they realized I kind of want to just get out of the way, the performance. That way I could kind of focus on the logistics of all day. Mm-hmm. Which is going to be interesting because usually I'm pretty tipsy when I play. And obviously I can't be getting that tipsy at 3:30 in the afternoon when I got.
They didn't want to wear the leather pants outside. Let's be honest.
That might be part of it. I think it's also like the outside stage is being built. Is probably not going to be as like the sound. I have no idea what the sound is going to be like on the outside stage. I assume it's going to be great. The venue assures me. But I just think they figured we'd rather be earlier on the main stage than later on the outside stage. So I don't have to worry about that for this particular show. But I've been there. I played outside a couple of times. One time it was very hot out and I wore leopard shorts instead. That's how I got around it. Bright red leopard shorts. I still have those.
Nice.
So, but no, it's definitely a challenge. I've had days like that on just inside days, because it doesn't matter if you're inside, outside, you sweat on stage,
Oh my God, you're named Ferret, which is like a rodent, and you are wearing like leopard pants. That's so great. I just thought of that.
That's good. That's good. But yeah, you sweat outside. You sweat inside also. It doesn't matter where you are. The stage is always hot with the lights and all the gear up there. A lot of electric. I would think even the biggest stage would still be very hot. I would think.
So,
what was the worst decision outfit that you ever made?
Like looks wise or like practicality wise?
Like you look back and you're just like, oh man, that was like a gem as far as like bad choices.
Like Wish.com
definitely from the early
or
days.
Temu?
Definitely from the early days. Like I said, the early days, the Party City days, I like to call them. Like I never wore a wig. I would always wear like hats and stuff.
Okay.
But the early days, not even the early days, even the mid days, pre-pandemic, because of my day job, I never grew my hair out. I had short hair back then.
Okay.
So to compensate for that, I would wear like over the top hats like these. Hold on. I have some in arm reach.
Oh yes, we need to see the hats.
So, stuff like this. Like here's some more recent ones.
Okay.
Stuff like
Nice.
this. And I still wear these, even with the long hair.
Those
I have
are
other types.
badass hats.
Hell yeah. I have other ones that are like more like Judas Priest, like Rob Halford type hats. You know what I mean? Like I don't have them in arm's length. I have like a flight attendant hat. I have stuff like that. I would kind of like go with that David Lee Roth mode with. But so I had the short hair, but some of the hats in the early days were silly. Cheap looking. The Party City spandex. It wasn't even from Party City. I just keep calling it that. But you got it on Amazon. It was like bad spandex that was clearly like a costume. It was like $20. There was a clothing designer, Jimmy Webb, who unfortunately passed away. He was one of the main guys that worked at I can't remember the famous place in the city. I can't remember the name of it right now. But he left there and he went to I Need More, which was another store, which closed after he passed away. But like when he left his original place, I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. It's killing me right now. Was it
Barney's or
no? It was like a small shop. Like all the rock stars would always go. Like he knows. Put it this way, he was like in Slash's wedding. Like he knows Alice Cooper personally. Like this guy was like an actual involved with like legit rock stars and stuff. Like on like a personal basis with the fashion. Something vaudeville. It'll come to me. But anyway, the first time I went to I Need More, me and Titi Benoit, one of the guitar players, we walked in there in like 2018, and I think I was looking for a hat. That's why I got one of these like Judas Priest type hats. And I was asking him, about pants and this and that, and he said something that stuck. He's like, "You want clothes, not a costume." He's like, "The clothes are going to be more money. It's going to be more expensive, but you're going to have the clothes unless you get overly fat or overly thin and like drastically lose weight or gain weight. You're going to have these clothes forever because they're good quality clothes." He's like, "You're better off spending like $400 on a really good outfit than like constantly buying new crappy $30 outfits." And that kind of like stuck in me. So since that time, I've dressed better. But before that, and I had a those like all over print shirts. I had one that was just literally a ferret's face. That was just an all over print shirt, like a giant ferret's face, with the bad Party City spandex, with like a cheap looking vest. It just looked like amateur hour,
Oh my gosh, please tell me you have a photo of that.
Yeah, you'd have to go back like a decade on the social media, but it's there. They're there.
That's worth going back.
Yeah. It would take a long time for me to go back live, but I don't know if I would even be able to show you on my phone. But yeah, it's cringy to look back on. But you know what? I don't deny it. Just at the first album, it existed. It happened.
Hey, it got you where you are now. It got people's attention.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, I think we're more well dressed now. We don't look like a parody of ourselves. That was another thing with the early days. We always got compared to Steel Panther, and like we sound nothing like Steel Panther. The only reason why we would get compared is because they thought we were like trying to be a parody, and part of that was that we dressed stupid. So then we got better in that element. The other reason why we got compared to Steel Panther a lot is the lyrics could be very sleazy at times. On purpose, trying to be comical. I get it. But musically, I don't think we really sound like them that much. We're more like the Rat, Wasp, that side of things. I can't sing like that. I'm just saying, I barely talk. Never mind sing. So I got the deep.
So as I said, since it is the
voice,
Glam Fest, like who would you say is the most fashionable in the group?
In Ferret?
Yeah.
Me, for sure. And I am close.
Like,
Absolutely.
Me.
So it's not even me trying to map the LSD. It really is me. I I got the hair, so I can get a little more flamboyant. And I'm the front man, so I gotta be flamboyant. Like no, the guitar player is a little more burly. Um the drummer barely dresses glam, but he's a drummer, he can do what he wants. He's behind the kit. So and the bass player, he definitely does not dress up too much. So it's definitely me. I'm the most flamboyant for sure. I'm not even that flamboyant. But definitely the most glam looking when we're on the stage, that I can say. So
And what makes this current lineup, like you said, that, like after the pandemic, it really got serious and kind of took off. What would you say about this current lineup versus the prior lineup that really makes us special?
well, ironically, it's 3/5 of that same lineup, so it's really not that much different. But for a while, TT Benoit, the guitar player, and Hollywood Hopeful, the drummer, were not in the band. And Scotty Hart, who was the other guitar player that founded the band with me, he was an original member. Me and him were the only original members for a while. And then we kind of brought back Ferret with a new lineup because with those guys, we recorded an album that was very well received, Glam, that came out in 2024. But most of the people on that album were not in the band post Glamdemic. So like the Glamdemic album came out in April of 2024, and then the first show back was October of 2024. We couldn't even do a show to release the album because there wasn't the new lineup of guys wasn't ready yet. So they were finally ready in October. And then Scotty Hart, after a couple of shows, he had a little bit of health issues. And he's looking to start a family and be a normal person. He has a wife and, they want to have a child and this and that. And, he had these health issues that kind of popped up unexpectedly. And TT Benoit came back to fill in for him for a couple of these shows that we had booked. And after a couple of, it became apparent that TT Benoit was going to be back and that Scotty Hart was probably not coming back. Obviously, he'd be welcome back, but I could tell if he wanted to come back, we'd figure it out. But like, I don't know, we do an Iron Maiden thing or some sort of collective, but I could tell he was kind of looking to not play music for a while. More so, he loves playing music, but more so, he lives in Deep Long Island, hour and a half drives to practice. The gigs. I could tell he wouldn't want to really gig these out of state gigs that I'm dying to do. Like I was telling you, he's really trying to kind of like wind it down. Where I'm kind of trying to go like one last to really go at it and see what happens. So Benoit came back, and then when Benoit came back, Hollywood Hopeful, who was always more of like TT Benoit's like good friend that joined the band, he came back also. Basically, his second child got a little older. She turned like 5. He has a good support system with like family, both in-laws and his family living close by. He was ready to come back. He was down. He knows we're not going on a 6-week tour. We're just going to do Weekend Warrior type stuff. So next thing you know, we got 3/5 of the classic Ferret lineup back. So it kind of happened in a weird roundabout way. The drummer that we were drumming with for the 2 years in between, great guy, but 100% honest, he really didn't fit the band well from a drumming standpoint. I think he kind of wanted to be more of like a, just constant, like he would have been better in like a grindcore, like a death metal band.
So pretty much drum beats.
He wasn't the best at like changing up in a song. I think he needed more like a constant barrage. He would have been better suited for that type of thing. So he joined the band because we were looking for a drummer. He got recommended to me from my good friend Mark. He was a great guy, but musically he really wasn't even like a fan of like 80s metal so much. Outside of like Guns N' Roses and like Metallica and like the bands of that nature. So it was kind of like a square peg in a round hole. We're still friends. He does a lot of art for us. I keep him on the payroll for that. It's always good to maintain those relationships. He's a genius artist. So like, I'm always looking to, I need this. Here, let me throw you a couple $100. Do this for me. It's good to, not burn the bridge, so to speak. So, but yeah, no, we got these guys back, and now, slowly but surely, people are asking, well, you're gonna start writing new music. We want to, and we will, but we take 1,000 years to do it, so it's gonna be a little bit. But it's not me. But I got an Axl Rose in the band who's not me. Everything needs to be perfect with him. And the other thing is just time. You're a little older with the day jobs, this and that. But we'll get around to it eventually. For now, we're just trying to focus on the live shows.
Well, since I have to hop off soon,
Same here.
Thank you for having me on for so long. It was a great
I
interview,
would
so
like to
definitely appreciate
ask
it.
you, at least for my last question, I would like to ask you, what can fans expect from the Glam Fest?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I don't know. I must have fell into a time machine when I set the pricing for this because I don't know what I was thinking. I underpriced this so much, $50 for an advance ticket for 12 bands. All the bands are sick. Heaven's Edge, Ted Poley, just that would no. So my mess up is everyone's best thing that could happen for the summer. Instead of paying $200-$300 for like we were saying, all these Live Nation shows, this show, it's gonna be amazing. I mean, hopefully the execution's amazing, but the lineup's amazing. And I'm very excited for it. And I think what I really hope is for some of the older fans that come out for Heaven's Edge and Ted Poley and Roughhouse, I really hope that they leave a fan of one of these newer bands. Maybe not even necessarily my band, but whether it be Wicked or Wanted or Breaker, Ready to Strike, whoever it is, I really hope that there's going to be like a 55-year-old lady from the suburbs who comes to the show that never seen any of these bands, ever heard of them. She's only there for Heaven's Edge or Ted Poley and leaves a fan of one of these bands, and vice versa. I want some of these younger kids that are coming to the show that are coming to support their friends to be like, oh my God, I never heard of Heaven's Edge. You're amazing, blah, blah, blah. So I think people can expect, a great day of, rock and roll, heavy metal, a lot of fun, a lot of drinking, a lot of wildness. And then if it goes well, maybe we do it again in 2027.
You hear that, everyone? So make sure that if you're from the New York area, make sure that you go on, follow the links, get your tickets now, go out. I mean, 12 bands, where can you go see 12 bands for under $50?
And there's 2 stages, right? So there's going to be alternating stages. And the second stage is literally a 30-second walk from outside from the main stage. So it's not going to be like some treacherous, all day, brutal, oh man, like sitting there waiting for bands to set up. Once the first band starts at 1:40, it's going to be a constant rock and roll, 80s metal, all the way until the end of the evening. So should be a lot of fun, guys.
So what time does it start?
Doors are at 1 p.m. and the first band is at 1:40.
Nice.
And there's no overlapping, right?
Nope. The second, I mean, I'm trying to do my best to have a combination of Stalin, the Ayatollah, and whoever else to be the stage managers. But the goal was there not to be any overlap. Like I'm hiring great people. When I mean great, I mean they'll be very annoying about making sure that these things run on time, which is what you got to do. So
Yeah.
Great guys, but they're gonna be strict. So there should not be any overlap. That's not the intention. Because I've been to festivals in the past where it was a disaster, where casual, everything is on punk time, and then half the bands get cut off, or you miss half the bands because they overlap with somebody else. So all my years of attending shows, I have taken that experience, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that doesn't happen here, and that it's a well-oiled machine. And that starts with the stage end. So that was my joke about having the most rigid dictator type guys as the stage hands, but it's necessary because we want to make sure that no one wants Ted Poley Heaven's Edge to get cut off because someone else went too late, went too long at like 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So
okay, I hate to cut everybody off, but I gotta go.
I appreciate having me. And
Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting
Thank
you.
guys. Great to
Bye,
meet you as
Rob.
well.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. I just leave, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're okay.
All right.